Double
time.
time! What's up, guys?
Everyone.
Welcome back to Double Time. Today is episode 77. We are here with the first artist we've had on in a long time. Her artist name is RACHE. She is, well, I'll let you do the introduction, but yeah, we're happy to have you here and we're going to get to know you and everything you do.
Thank you. Yeah, well, my name is Rachel, but my stage name is Rage. I just turned 21 yesterday. Yesterday was my
Happy
birthday.
late birthday.
Happy
Thank you.
birthday.
Thank you. I'm from New Jersey. I would say my music is definitely very pop, but also I think it has a lot of elements of R&B. I'm inspired by artists like Kim Petras, Gwen Stefani. I love Beyonce, Whitney Houston. So kind of fusion of that kind of sound. And yeah, thanks for having me, you guys. I'm happy to be
Of
here.
course. Thank you for joining us.
Love
Sure.
it.
So
Noah,
we're
you want
just
to start
gonna,
here?
yeah, we just have some questions. I mean, one thing that I was a photographer at the Pop Showcase, which congratulations for that, by the way. She
Thank
performed
you.
at Belmont's Pop Showcase. She was great. And I really liked your sound. Again, like you said, the pop R&B. Our music kind of is similar, especially into this. I thought sounded a lot like ours and just like similar pop R&B, sort of retro vibes. So, um, yeah, I guess what inspired you to pursue like that modern pop R&B sound?
Honestly, growing up, I definitely grew up on a lot of music. My dad, he's from Staten Island, New York, and he was really into like 70s rock. So I grew up a lot on that. On the other hand, my mom's from Ecuador, so I grew up on a lot of like Spanish or Latin American artists like Selena. And then as I got older, I really got into Jennifer Lopez, Shakira, people like that. But with those two together on my own, I really got into like 2010s pop music. And I have a very vivid memory when I was like 6 years old. I was in the car with my mom, and California Girls by Katy Perry came on, and I was obsessed with it. And ever since hearing that song, I've really just always had like a soft spot for pop music. I just love how fun it is, and I want people to have fun when they're listening to my music and just feel happy. And I think that's the reason, all of that together is I think the reason why I went down the pop R&B direction. I think having very unique influences from my parents, since both of their upbringings are very different. I think having that as well as what I started to pick up and like once I started exploring music my own, I think all of that together is kind of why I was like, I just love the pop thing. And I just love the way it makes people feel. I love the way it makes me feel.
Yeah,
No,
yeah, that's
I
awesome.
love that so much because 2010s pop is like my genre of music. I'm ride or die for that genre. Noah can tell you the same thing. Like if we're ever anywhere, that is the music I'm playing. So I love that you feel the same way. And your music definitely has that same vibe because I was like re-listening to it again and like especially into this, I I die whenever I hear that. Like it is so like that like it brings me back to the 2010s when I was, 10 years old. Like it is so perfect.
Thank you. Yeah, and that's like I said, I don't want to necessarily like copy that feeling or like copy a style because at the end of the day, like I'm still my own person, but I love the way that kind of music makes people feel, whether it's just like I said, like just having fun or even bringing back even that nostalgic vibe because I feel like nostalgia can really be anything to anybody. So as long as I'm doing that, kind of doing my job right. So that's what matters.
I'm curious to know where you stand on what you consider your debut because me and Noah have our own like, we've had like our album together and then we had our own things in the past and then our own thing before that, but like it wasn't our band. So I know that like with you, I assume you'd probably consider Colder your debut, but I know before that you were on the In Transit remix, but then before that you were on a different artist name with Slowly But Gently. So I'm wondering
Yes.
where are we considering the start of the music journey?
That's a great question. Honestly, I think I would say my debut as of right now, probably I would definitely say In Transit, just because when I came out with Slowly But Gently, I really had like no idea like literally what I was doing or who I was. It definitely was a debut to an extent, but I think the difference between coming out with that versus coming out with In Transit was I was starting to fully develop like understanding who I was as an artist. And I think I knew who I was pretty much at that point. So I feel like that was probably more so a stronger intro, but I don't I still keep that song up because it was like the first thing I put out and for what it's worth, it did something. So
I mean, it's still great. It still has that same like voice of yours. Like
Thank
it feels
you.
like a you song.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
I guess I'll go back to the pop showcase performance in October. Um, First of all, congrats on it. It was great.
Thank you.
You put on quite the show. Did Have you seen any any changes since then, or like any new opportunities pop up since then?
Yeah, since then I played a couple more shows. I played a show on Halloween at the Flamingo, which came from that, which was really cool. I headlined the end out here, which was really cool
Oh,
as
very
well.
cool.
So I got a couple of show opportunities. The show definitely gave me a lot of exposure, which I'm really grateful for. So it's been nice to like, I guess, meet new people through the show or have people reach out and say that they like the music. So that's been really good too. And yeah, just doing sessions and kind of the normal of what I'm usually doing as well. But I would say mainly that.
That's awesome. Yeah, how is being in Nashville? I mean, because we're her and I both go to the to Belmont in Nashville. And Nashville is known as like, country music city, like very country, very rock. So and I felt this too, like I haven't seen a lot of like pop and R&B representation here. So how have you found like being that type of artist in Nashville, like changing how you go about things?
I would definitely say the way I go about things in Nashville is a little bit bittersweet because on one hand, there isn't a lot of music like the kind of music that I make and like what you guys make too. So it's nice to have an element in my music that is, I guess, unique in terms of just what you're usually seeing. And I think that's an upside because I think it just brings something new to the table. And I'm glad I'm able to do that. But on the flip side, I've been in Nashville for a minute now, and Nashville is what it wants to be. And
Yeah.
you're not going to want to change that. And I think sometimes for me personally, I think I found it a little harder to break here just because my niche just isn't as common. But at the same time, I feel like because that niche isn't as common, it is something that I feel like makes me stand out, which is not a bad
Yeah.
thing. Like I said, it's definitely like a double-edged sword. I found it interesting, but I feel like at the end of the day, I think it's just all about just putting yourself out there, using the resources that you have to your advantage, like social media, your network, etc. And even on that, like expanding your network as well, and just doing what you can to just put yourself out there in general, whatever that
Yeah.
might be.
Yeah. After college, or if something, crazy happens, I know you already have you've signed with it with a, is it an independent label, or what
Yeah,
kind of, okay.
independent label in LA called
Oh,
Camp.
okay.
Yeah.
It is in LA. Okay. I wasn't
Yes.
sure if that was here, or I was going to ask if you like had planned to relocate to like LA or New York, where like our genre is a little more common.
I am. I'm moving to LA in February. I'm
Oh,
graduating,
very awesome.
so I am.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, so
That's
I'm out of
awesome.
here in like a month. I'm gonna go home for a little bit just to regroup, spend time with my family for the holidays too. And yeah, then I'm moving out there.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Very cool.
As someone who has not had like any real music experience, because I know like Noah's obviously going to Belmont too. He's doing the research and learning the stuff. Like where do you find these sorts of opportunities, like with the label and with these live shows that you've been doing?
I would say the live shows, it definitely came from just I think Pop Showcase really helped with that. I haven't really played as many shows here as I have in LA. So I think that was just a great opportunity from school. I think for me, in terms of just like doing sessions and things like that, which I feel like predominantly I have more of that going on in LA. When I went out there because originally, because I was out there, I was living there for like maybe like 4-ish, 5-ish months because I did Belmont West, which is a program at my school that students can just go and just live in LA and do an internship, but also take classes on the side. So I did that. And honestly, in that time, I think I did take advantage of it and I just put myself out there. I would do stuff for my internship. And then, like, right after that, I would go to a session. I'd wake up, I'd do the same thing. And I eventually met Kyle, who now manages me, which is hence the connection I have with Campground. Because somebody I just met through just a session, Circuit Pipeline in LA, asked me to come in as a writer actually for another artist. And from there, he happened to be there, and I just met him by chance. So I think all of like these kinds of opportunities, like I think kind of goes back to what I said before, where it's just about I think just putting yourself out there, however that might mean, whether that's just like networking with people, just asking people to do sessions. That's how I started in LA. I literally didn't know anyone in LA. I just kind of reached out to people on Instagram and just saw what stuck. And
Was it like producers or more like engineers? Like who did you reach out to? Like type of people?
definitely mostly producers,
Okay.
artists as well, because I would say, I really started doing music writing for other artists. So I also was reaching out to artists to see if they were looking for writers as well. But yeah, I would say mostly producers and artists. But for my own stuff, producers, and I have some writers that I like to work with as well for my stuff too.
Okay. Cool. What was your internship if you want to share?
Yeah, it was with ATG Against the Grain. It's a digital marketing company, but it's honestly like a jack of all trades. They have distribution there. They have music management, so like producer, writer management, artist management as well. And that's kind of where I was mostly working in, like the
Okay.
artist management, A&R world, and just like helping with like setting up sessions, doing outreach, trying to think, just kind of a little bit of everything, honestly. But it was a really good experience. And even having that internship as well, I think is another way of finding opportunities. My company like has always been like super supportive of what I've been doing as well, like outside of that. And yeah, I've met some really awesome people just through working there and just networking, grabbing coffees and stuff like that. So yeah, it's kind of been a little bit of everything, but I'm grateful for what they've done for me too.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Uh, if you don't mind me asking, I do ask this every time we have someone on because I love hearing about the process because I'm like the main songwriter, but for the stuff that me and Noah do. So I'd
Mhm.
love to hear your songwriting process because it's been so different for everybody. So I love hearing about it every time we have someone on.
Yeah, no, no problem at all asking. I would say it it really depends on where I am. If I'm home, because I grew up playing piano, like the first thing I'll do is I'll like go to the piano, lay down chords, and I'll start writing like the melody and lyrics over that. But I have to like establish like the chords, almost even like the composition of it first. That's usually my process when I'm home or if I'm like near a piano. But if I'm in LA working with the producers that like produce Into This and Ahan, they're basically my main producers now. Usually I'll come in. Well, usually first, before we even get into the studio, like we'll eat Chick-fil-A outside for like 20 minutes. Then we'll go in the studio. And usually my producer, his name's Pina. He's just amazing. Pina and Jacopo, but Jacopo's in Italy, but they're both awesome. And usually when I come in, they'll have like a couple beats ready. So I'll listen to them, and I've never not liked one. Like every single time, it's never been like, oh, we have to do it from scratch. Every single time, I'm like, oh my God, I love that. And then he'll start working on the production. I'll start writing the lyrics. I usually bring in this writer named Adrian. Him and I have a songwriting duo for like pitch and for other artists and sing called Good Friends. But when it's my artist stuff, usually I like to bring him in. I just think having a second writer is just so important. It's honestly a disservice. I feel like if you don't have somebody else writing it with you, so that's for another day. But we'll just start kind of writing lyrics, melodies. Sometimes I'll do some like chord changes, like with Into This. I kind of went in and helped a little bit on the production, a little bit in the second verse and the second chorus. So if it comes to that, if I feel like, I can input like chords and stuff as well, I'll do that too. But yeah, long story short, it really depends on where I am. I think it's if I'm on my own, if I'm home, I'll usually start out with the chords and then I'll write everything else after that. But if I'm in LA working in a group setting, what's been happening is I'll usually hear the beat and start writing it out with Adrian. But also as well, I think it really depends too, like I said, just kind of like where you are and who you're in the room with. Because if I'm also writing for another artist, it really depends on their process.
I love it because I feel like the words obviously super important, but like the chords and the feeling of the music is also like you can't have a meaningful song without it. So it's like it's super
Yeah,
important to if you can start with that, then absolutely start with that.
agreed. Yeah, I think for songwriting, for me, I think the one thing I try to keep an eye out for, like regardless of like how the song starts, is just like how it makes you feel. And if you can get a good feeling from it, then I think just like run with the process, like the writing process that you're doing, because it's making you feel the way that it should then.
100%. And I know you said you started with piano, but I know you also play guitar. How long have you been doing both of those?
I've been playing piano since I was 6 and guitar since I was 9.
I love that. Wow. Starting
Not really
early.
do the thumbs up thing.
Only way, only way.
So I have a question about just your social media habits because I think every independent artist struggles with breaking through the noise and trying to be unique with social media promotion and just connecting with audience. So how do you engage with your audience, and just again try to like break through the noise and be unique, if you have any specific ways?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, honestly, I think I'm still figuring it out too. It's just such an unpredictable game, social media. But I think what I've learned so far, I think the best ways about it is, I think being consistent. Like, I think a part of that too is just kind of finding your niche and whatever that is, just keep posting around, like posting like your niche or posting like different elements of like what your niche could be, until something sticks. I think that's something that I've been trying recently on TikTok. Um, like for instance, I've been trying to honestly, because it's funny that you guys asked about debut because I feel like in a way, at least on TikTok right now, I'm trying to take a step back and almost build from the ground up. And what I've been trying to do right now is just posting covers, specifically covers of like rap songs and making them more like R&B pop or like acoustic. And I'm basically just trying to build up from there and try to post something consistently so then listeners and watchers can kind of know what to expect. And hopefully that'll build something from the ground up. So that's something I've been trying to do to like be on social media more and be more on top of it. But other ways, I think it's just about like just posting your music. And I think something I've always tried to do is like ask myself when I'm posting a video, like give myself three reasons why somebody would stay and watch it. And if I can't identify like three solid things, then I'll try to go back and maybe like add a more interesting like text box to the video, or maybe I'll make like the edits quicker if there's like different clips coming in and out. I don't know if that answered your question, but that's I would say
No,
like the
yeah.
two for it.
So it's not, I mean, it's not necessarily just about like the audio, being interesting, or like the music part being interesting. You focus on like the visual stuff too then.
Oh yeah, no, I've learned no one's gonna care about the visual. I mean, no one's gonna care about the audio unless the visual is intriguing. You
Yeah,
know what
yeah.
I'm saying? Like I feel like the first thing people look at or even process when you're looking at a TikTok is like what's in front of you. And then I think you're like, "Oh, like what's playing?"
Yeah,
And I feel
yeah.
like most of the time consumers like aren't even thinking about that, which, is kind of a hit or miss, but I think it really is about like what people are seeing first. Just because at the end of the day, like as much as maybe some people like it or don't like it, I think that's just the climate of social media right now. And unfortunately, all we can really do is kind of follow it. So.
Yeah, it's a lottery for sure.
No, it's literally a lottery. It's literally a lottery. And I
Yeah.
think that's why too, like even aside from the whole thing I was saying about like finding a niche and sticking with that, um, I think I think it's just as important to realize that if something isn't working, the great thing about social media algorithms is I feel like you can restart and start and try something new, and then maybe that'll be it. You know what I'm saying? I don't think it's like
Yeah.
a hit or miss kind of situation anymore. Like I feel like it might have been back in the day before social media was as powerful as it is now.
Right.
Yeah, because we're kind of in the same boat right now. We're on like social media page number 4, trying to start
Yeah,
from the ground up again, trying to, not just have it be music only. We also, we're trying to actually build the audience that has like, our personalities before we're like, hey, also listen to our music. Like we want it to
right.
have to be more of like a culture that's not just like the music is cool, so I'll listen to the music. It's like I actually care about the people that are making it too.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's a great way to look at it. I think like in terms of just like putting yourself first and who you are, or I mean if there's a way that you guys can mix that both and be like this is who we are, but like we also do music, I'm sure that's just as much possible as well. But I think that's a great way to look at it for sure. And I totally get you with like the accounts, like the amount of TikTok accounts I've deleted and like restarted and made from scratch. Like my friends are like, "How many TikToks like do you have?" I'm like, "Girl, at this point, I don't even know." But that's the great part about social media. I feel like you can just restart.
Yeah.
And something I overheard somebody say this the other day. Somebody had said to me like, if something doesn't perform well, like a song or a TikTok, if it's hitting that like under 1,000 or it's just not in the streaming number world where you desire, even if you posted it essentially at that point or released it at that point, if it's not really like hitting any big numbers, nobody essentially has really seen it anyways. So there's a power to like taking something down and just restarting it. And that's definitely something I've started to learn too. If that means having a bigger chance at, finding that audience or finding people that want to get to know you and who you guys are, like, then it's 100% worth it. And it doesn't matter if it's gonna be a learning process as well.
Yeah, we definitely had some learning processes.
Yeah, we've had
Yeah,
more than a
no, me
few.
too. Still.
Yeah.
But I guess that's just like I think being a musician is about just asking yourself if you want to continue like learning these lessons or try to keep knocking on that door until it opens. And most of the time you're gonna say yes if you're, up at this point doing music anyways. So
Yeah.
I know we were talking about visuals a little bit earlier. Can we expect a music video anytime soon? Because I don't think you have one yet, right?
no, I don't have one. I'm hoping soon. We've kind of dabbled with it a little bit. I think right now I'm kind of in the same place as you guys are in the sense of just like trying to like build that fan base and even more hit that personal connection like with watchers and viewers. And I think once we can really get to that, I think we'll have a music video soon. Hopefully soon to this. Or a new song. We'll see.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, can you talk about any future plans or projects in the works? You don't have to, but
Yeah.
it'd be nice.
Yeah, you got me with that. You got me with that. But yeah, I think next year, as I'm moving to LA, the plan is definitely to keep just stacking up songs, getting songs done, like really finalizing them as well, and just like taking them to that point as quickly as possible, while also simultaneously just working up the TikTok and social media. And I'm gonna definitely like play around with that niche I was mentioning earlier, just like going back and doing covers. Like I'm curious to see how that's gonna do. Keep playing with that, see how it goes, and I'm hoping, if not, kind of towards maybe the end of summer next year, I'm hoping to start releasing out my first project. But something that I've learned very recently, going back to kind of what I was saying, like it's just such a learning process with music, is I think I've realized it's okay to not rush things if it means you're going to come out with something that's really like who you are, properly packaged, well thought out, like a gazillion, 1,000% intentional. Like I think it's a lot wiser to get yourself to that point than to just rush and release things, because even as social media changes and is confusing and people even like can change their taste or get busy, like audiences and social media is always going to be there. So I really want to take next year to just solidify my sound, because now I really know what that is, but I want to take it to the next level. So long story short, definitely still posting, playing around niches, things like that, developing songs, finishing them out, and then hopefully starting to release that either like by the end of the summer of next year, or maybe even in 2025. I'm definitely open to just taking my time with it, just because I just believe in the stuff that we're all doing for the project, and I want to make sure it's perfect. And I turned 21 yesterday, so I'm not like 70 yet. So there's
Yeah.
there's a good amount of
You
time.
got time.
Yeah, you have time.
Yeah, we
Great.
really all do. We really all do.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's great that you're in a place where you're able to lock in on everything and just like
Thank
take
you.
as much time as you need, and you found that sound. Because even for us, like it can take a while, and I don't think we've necessarily found that yet. We had an 80s themed project, but we want to do more contemporary things, more mainstream things. So
Right.
it's just finding that line between like, how do we, you know I don't know how to say this, like we're still a little bit attached to what we have put out, but also we want to be more mature with our sound, and it's just sort of like a mix of like where we're coming from and where we're going. It's like, where can we make music there? And I also really like what you said about taking your time, because we have learned that the hard way about rushing things for irrelevant deadlines, and then regretting it
Literally.
years down the line. So yeah, it's definitely important to take your time, especially like you said, we're so young, we have time. And it's
Yeah.
kind of, we kind of have an advantage being small artists, because like no one's like pressuring us to like, I mean, maybe different with you because you have the label, but at least for us, like no, there's no big exec saying like, get this album done by this date, and we're stressing and it turns out crappy. So yeah, I think, yeah, Ryan can talk more, but yeah, I think it's it's important to take your time and just be confident in what you're doing.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
totally agree.
because we had that 80s project we did. That was like a year and a half ago now, and as a band, we haven't released anything because we're still like trying to. We don't want to release anything that's not perfect anymore, because, like Noah was saying, we tried to do like a deluxe album with some extra songs, but we didn't even have them planned when we announced it, so it was like a
Mhm.
whole rush thing, and we definitely do not want to do that again. And we're lucky that a lot of people didn't see it before we took it down. But like that's yeah, that's another good thing. That's like yeah, if I'm a big believer in owning mistakes and leaving them to the public, so people can see how you've grown. But also, there's like moments where they don't need to see everything.
Yeah, oh, 100%. But I mean, yeah, I think it definitely just goes back to just kind of what we're all kind of saying now. Like we really like there really is no rush. I feel like this whole need of like people needing to like put out music like right now, right away is I think all of us are very much overexposed to so much on social media. We see so many people, and at the end of the day, while that is awesome and it has its benefits, no human being I feel like was ever made to be so like saturated with all this music and all these artists and songwriters and producers. And it's cool, but it can definitely be a lot. And I think for a lot of people, like I could definitely say I've definitely played the comparison game of like, oh, like I should be here because this person was there at this age. But at the end of the day, like everybody's path is different. Like music already is such an abstract like concept that you can't expect the people that are in music to follow just one binary, like straight up path of how it's supposed to be. And if that means for you guys, like taking some time off to really figure out what it is that you guys want to be in music or like what exactly it is that sound's going to be, like it's so worth it because if good, I really truly believe if the music's good, people will find it and people are going to fall in love with you because the music's good. And if that means taking some time, kind of even like what I'm doing, I think it's 100% worth it. I think it's just about reminding yourself that and blocking out the noise and just believing yourself and choosing the music too.
Yeah, because I mean, absolute worst case, like your music is already out. Like there's nothing like, like you can always, if you don't have anything right this second, you always be like, I have all these songs that you can already listen to that I am proud of because I took the time to work on those and make them perfect. So like, give me some time while I'm doing the things that you'll love next. But these
Mhm.
things, I already have them for you. You can already listen to those ones because
Yes.
like I am in a kind of similar boat. I've been working on like one album for the last 2 years because like half the songs I just didn't feel were ready yet. And now I'm like finally in the part where I'm like getting the ball rolling and I'm actually happy with how they sound. And, I'm now in like the releasing stage of it and I'm happy with it. I'm not like, I'm going to take this down in a year because I hate it. Like I actually like the song now because I took the 2 years to make them sound perfect.
Yeah, yeah, which is so crazy to say because it's like just like a 3 minute song can literally
I
take like
know.
2 years. Like it's like that's not like that's the truth. I just think that's so funny because it's something that for a listener is literally 3 minutes. Like in 3 minutes, I don't know, like I can do my skincare routine in 3 minutes. I don't know. You could even like work out, like if you want to do like a quick like set or something for 3 minutes. You know what I mean? So it's so interesting how like we take so much time on it for one thing, and then like the people listening, it's just like literally 3 minutes. Not even. Sometimes like 20 seconds, and they're like on to the next thing. But I
Yeah.
just think it's
It's one of those things that like if you're not an artist, you would never even think about all of the different things that go into it. Like you think that
yeah,
that one line that you're like, oh, that line, you wrote that line, whatever. Like that took me like 3 weeks. You
yeah,
just don't
no,
get it.
yeah, I 100% agree with that. But at the same time, I think that's definitely like where the magic of music is. I think it appears to be so seamless and effortless to be done because, it's a very short, like one song, it's usually very short for people and like the time that they take on like listening to it and processing it. And I think when I started like listening to music and loving music, I I loved it because it just felt so seamless and it was so easy to like listen to and enjoy and relate to however I related to it. So in a way, I'm kind of happy there's still people who like don't see the other side of it because I think that like I said, it kind of is like what the magic is, despite like all the years, like literally it can take years to get something done. But
So yeah, I don't think we really have any specific questions. We always ask artists who we have on what their advice for other aspiring artists are. Um and you can either take that, free, or I can give you like little just like questions, whatever you want.
yeah, no, that's perfect. I would just say I would say that my biggest piece of advice is to just always choose the music. I feel like that's the reason all of us do it. I think all of us have had like special moments in our lives probably that just made us realize how much we love it. And I think if you remind yourself of that and just choose the music, with that feeling that you had from that moment. Like it can't go bad. I think that's my biggest advice, and to just stay consistent because consistency is definitely key. If you're consistent, more people are going to find your music, more people are going to fall in love with you. And yeah, also, too, no one's going to believe in you as much as you believe in yourself. So just believe in yourself and things will be
It's
okay.
very true.
Very true.
Yeah, unfortunately, but also fortunately. So
All right. Well, that's it for me. I think, Ryan, you
that's
got
all your
anything?
questions.
I mean, we always ask that the advice. I think we covered everything. It was quick,
Oh,
but we covered everything.
I'm curious if you have ever had like a favorite live show, like venue, crowd, songs that you've done, anything.
it's a good question. I would definitely say recently it was really fun to play the Flamingo. I think because it was just Halloween, the vibes were really fun. I've never played a show like on a holiday like that, so that was really fun. I've played the Apollo Theater before, and that was really cool. Really special moment, especially just being from New York. So I would say one of those two for sure.
Wow, that's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, it was cool.
All right. Is that it, Ryan?
All 2 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this was great. Thank you for coming on. You had a lot of wisdom and a lot of I'm glad we got to, get to know you, and
Yeah,
yeah, we wish you well on your endeavors in LA, and
thank you.
yeah, thank you so much for coming on.
I'm hoping
Yeah,
we
no,
can
thank
have you back.
Yeah,
Of
yeah.
course.
We
Yes.
love to
Yeah.
have
No,
guests back.
thank you so much for having me. Yeah. No, I'm super excited to see like what y'all are up to too. And yeah, always feel
Thank
free to
you.
send me stuff as well. I love hearing new stuff.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank
Well,
you. Yeah, same
y'all
for
have a
us.
great
We'd love to
day.
hear your new stuff.
Yeah, I'll keep you guys in the loop as that stuff rolls out. Slowly but surely. Not slowly but gently.
Yeah.
Slowly but
Right.
surely. Yeah.
Right.
But
All
okay,
right.
good. Thank you so much
Awesome.
again, guys.
Thank you so much. Guys, thank you for listening and watching.
Thank
This
you.
comes out day before Thanksgiving. So happy Thanksgiving, everybody. And
Yes.
we'll see you guys next week on everyone's favorite musical
Oh, we're gonna do
podcast.
the countdown again if you want to do it with us. Oh,
I
are
do
we
have to
doing
do it.
3, 2, 1? Double
Double
time.
time.
Time.